Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Pulse Pod. Joining me this week is Isaac and Mark. Mark, all the way from Northern Ireland, and Isaac, who has joined us before. Hello, gentlemen. How are we today?
Hi, good evening, Jack. Good evening, Isaac.
Good evening.
Lovely. And as you may have seen on the socials earlier on this week, we were scheduled to have Brian on the podcast this week, but unfortunately, unforeseen circumstances, we'll hopefully reschedule that in for either next week or, if possible, the week after. So, Isaac, Mark, getting into it. As with last week, we didn't have a game at the weekend, and weekends so very boring without football. However, a couple of news items so far that we've had this week. First of all, Tom Parks, as myself and Adam discussed last week, one of our players of the season by some margin. How important is that, particularly given that it's an 18-month deal rather than just a 6 month to the end of the season? Isaac, I'll start with you first. How important do you think that is to give a boost to the squad?
Oh, it's it's massive. I think Tom's been one of our best players, not just this season, but when he came in last January as well, and he's been like a real leader for the back line, which like in previous years hasn't had that sort of leadership before. So it's just massive if we get to have him for until this season, next season as well. It'll be vital for us if if we don't go up this season and next season as well.
And Mark, is that something? I know you're watching from afar. Is that something you agree with?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I mean, you can't bet by experience in this division what we're in at the moment. And to be honest with you, you need all the leaders you can. And him alongside Waterfall provides that in abundance. This isn't having been tied down to the end of next season. Absolutely huge. Uh, if from what I've heard, he just like makes people accountable, and you want that from your experienced players because if they don't step up, who else is going to step up?
Very true. I mean, certainly in the centre back position, we've seen not just at Pulse, but through the years at other clubs as well. They do tend to be very talkative leaders. They tend to lead by example. They tend to be very combative in the play, as they're expected to be when they're tackling the opposition, etc. Moving on, we've also received news this week that Gareth Horwood has taken over at the women's team as head coach. So good luck to him, the older brother of Evan Horwood, who used to play for Pulse, interestingly enough, and used to play youth level as well. So good luck to him as well. And finally, the game away at Wealdstone this weekend. Finally, some football for us to get into next week. But the game at Wealdstone is dedicated to her game too, and hopefully Jill Simmons will be joining me at some point in the future to speak about that. So, gentlemen, moving on. Now, there's a video circulating on social media. Obviously, we can't get too much into it because we don't really know much about it, and we are recording this on Thursday before the pre-match conference, which we've been told will go into it a bit more. So without casting sort of too many aspersions, because we don't want to really engage in too much speculation, do you think that that might be something that goes on just behind closed doors at many clubs? Is it something not necessarily that you can shrug off because it didn't look great, or is it something that you can potentially just say, well, let's bygones be bygones, and it just happens in the course of training?
Well, yeah, you should. It should everything that happens behind closed doors should actually, I think, should stay that way because granted, people won't want to know, but the thing is, though, you don't want to really upset the apple cart indoors. Uh, and clubs are notorious for keeping things in house, so to speak, and Pools are not going to be no exception to the rule.
Yeah, Isaac.
Uh, it's a strange one because what's alleged to have happened is obviously it's like horrible what's happened, but like I've said to multiple people, it shouldn't have got out there. Like I don't know how a video's managed to be like leaked of the training, so I think the club will investigate that. But it's just strange how a video of trainings managed to end up on Facebook or whatever. And I think This stuff probably does happen in training quite commonly. People not necessarily fighting, but having disagreements. So, and the fact it's blown up like this isn't going to do the club or good, or the two players involved any good either.
It's true. As we say, it's important that I must stress, there's no speculation involved because we don't know exactly what's gone on. It may well all be water under the bridge, and we'll learn more about that. And this, as I say, has been recorded before the pre-match interview with Lenny Lawrence tomorrow, as it stands on Friday. So by the time this comes out, we'll know more about that. Moving on, Isaac. Um, on your Twitter, the Pooley Podcast, not to be confused with the platform we're currently speaking on, you have mentioned something, plans for next season, about hopefully starting to liaise with coaches to get some transport for fans. It's something that the club used to do, and it has been done for quite a few years by the Corner Flag, the Supporters Association. They run buses as well. It's good to have more in that area because even though we are in a lower league now and the away support isn't as big as it used to be, for various reasons, not least because this league is a lot more southern than it used to be as well. But it just a little bit about that. Is it something that you've been thinking of for a while? Is it something that potentially you've been looking into as a matter of which coach companies, for example, etc.? And there was also the game against Filed this coming March as well, and things have been happening with that.
Yeah. Just it's just been an idea that I've had for a while, to be honest. I think the option for coaches for most teams in the league it's quite good, but pools haven't seemed to use that having you. So I thought if I open myself up and like offer the chance for people to go on the course, then we can get hopefully more numbers down the country, and like people who might not be able to like drive and get the train, it benefits them as well. So hopefully touch wood next season we can get everything up and running, and we try get to like some of the London games and further down south as well.
Very good. And I mean, I've been on coaches before. It's certainly something that if it can be looked into, it is a very good idea for people who can't get there themselves. Train prices as well can be somewhat expensive, as I think everyone knows. And
Mhm.
availability of trains as well is another matter, where you have to change three times on the way to a destination. So hopefully that goes well. Mark, over to you. From Northern Ireland, explain how I mean, I understand you used to live over here, didn't you? You
Yeah.
used to be in Hartlepool, so it's quite clear where that's come from. But in terms of supporting from Northern Ireland, how are you able to keep it up as opposed to sort of
Well,
looking at somewhere else?
what I do is I obviously follow the club on X, as well as obviously read up on obviously match reports on the official website. Plus, I get like friends of mine still like sending me text summaries of how games have gone on. It's shall we say different being over here because most football fans over here in Northern Ireland really supporting either Liverpool, Man United, uh, to a lesser extent City. But says there's not many poolies over here, that's for sure. But I ended up here, like, as they say, about just over 6 years ago. Married a farmer's daughter from these parts. But yeah, when he asked me who I support football, it was a case of, what? Oh? Uh,
Just down the road, you're all the Geordies from Geordie land. What we usually get.
well, my mum's from Sunderland, so
Oh,
I can,
Mackham, not quite Geordie then. Yeah, she might have me.
yeah,
Yeah.
she, she, she's a Mac on my mum, but uh, it's still strange. Like you don't get many even Newcastle fans over here as well. So, which is good because they're unbearable to live with at the best of times.
No comment. I know a few Newcastle fans. I'll get into trouble if I say
Aye,
anything like
so unfortunately, I have got a couple that I work with, but as I can tolerate them. But as if I had to cope with living next door to them here in Northern Ireland, it might be a bit unbearable for me.
And to be fair,
But
that last comment there reminds me of a Paddy Power segment they did in, I think it was the Euros. It was, oh, I want to say it was Scotland. It was basically to do with moving in next to a certain type of supporter who supports England, and they were horrified. It was done in the shape of a horror movie. It was quite a good video, to be fair.
well, Paddy
Um,
Power always do some cracking parodies, don't they?
Yes, they have done some very good ones in the past. That the one where all of the Scottish lads basically dressed up in Spanish jerseys and did the Spanish
Yeah.
foods just before the final in the summer. That was very good, that one. But yeah, it's I can imagine. I mean, I've been to different countries before. You usually do, as you say, get the response "who" whenever you asked where you come from. I had a very good chat with a gentleman in Lisbon in November in the club shop, and he was very interested in where I was from, and he'd studied in London himself, so he was familiar with England to an extent. But yeah, I suppose it can be difficult, even relocating within the same country. To be fair, I mean, it's obviously Northern Ireland's still part of Britain, but even going down to somewhere like Leeds or Manchester or something like that, where particularly where there's very strong football communities, I would say as well.
Well, it was used to be fun, even more fun before I even relocated. Because I was beforehand, I used to be surrounded either by Sheff Wed fans or Sheffield United fans, and that that was fun and games because especially in 2005, I got like at one end of the Millennium Stadium, there's me wearing my Pose colours, and then at the other end of the stadium, where it's one of my best mates, and I bumped into him after the game, and he goes, "You all right?" And I'm going, "No, don't want to talk about it." Says that way, are you coming for a beer with me?
I imagine there
So
were
just
unbroadcastable words used as well,
I
something to
went,
preface
I
the word
says,
cheat.
no, I'm not going. He goes, go on. He says, I'm buying. He says,
Uh,
he might
to be
stick
fair,
the
I
hand on
imagine
it.
he,
Then he
he
goes,
wouldn't have made that offer if they'd lost.
no, no, no.
More than likely, yeah.
It'd have been a case of uh, you're lucky so and so and that. But I says it's fun and games. I mean, like I was one of the things I remember though living in when I lived in Sheffield was basically going to Bramall Lane in midweek, and it was the night that we actually got David Weir sacked the following morning. And because I always remember, like you got like 500 foolies on the Tuesday night at Bramall Lane singing, "You're gonna get sacked in the morning," and never heard a word. And then following morning, what's it? What's announced? Oh, Sheffield United have sacked David Weir. And the first thing I did, I phoned my mate up. I said, "Did we know something last before the game had kicked off?"
Oh, if we can only dream of playing at stadiums like Bramall Lane these days. Hopefully, I'll get to the Sheffield stadiums at some point, particularly if Pulse are in the away end. Now, moving on to the transfers, we mentioned, or we have mentioned in the last few weeks on the pod that we don't have a transfer window. It's quite important to remember. EFL clubs do, Premier League clubs do. Potentially, our players could be signed at any moment this month, but in terms of incomings, we still have time. In terms of transfers, we'll start with transfers going out, because that threat is immediate this month, as opposed to any other. So, Isaac, we'll start on your side. Is there any place in particular that you think might be at risk?
I think just the main two, Joe Gray and Manny D, obviously out of contract in the summer, so potentially, if we're not willing to sign, well, extend, let's stay with the club. This month's the like time to get rid, which we all hope doesn't happen. So they're at risk. And another one, probably Nathan Sherring as well, who's been fantastic this season, who could potentially have AFL clubs wanting him.
Yeah, we can only hope that Nathan Sherring goes nowhere, as I'll state repeatedly on this podcast. He's been my player of the season. Tom Parks is up there as well, but Nathan Sherring's just been outstanding this season. Would you make an argument, either of you, for Dan Dodds potentially being at risk? I know he's had the fitness issues recently, but it was a point made a couple of weeks ago that he could potentially, when he is fully fit, be a VFL standard.
Yeah, absolutely. Honest day, most AFL League Two clubs would be after him. He's a top player.
And Mark?
Well, I says, yeah, the obvious ones are Joe Gray and Manny. I says, Manny scores goals wherever he goes. He's proved it. He doesn't have to prove himself in this division at all. He's done. He's got the t-shirt. So the thing is, though, I think we should be actually be trying to put out all the stops if we want to keep him. Start negotiations now, because otherwise you're going to just basically lose a 20 goal striker for nothing at the end of the season, and they are not that easy to come by, not at all. I mean, we are lucky that we don't have this window because it is like the old school transfer deadline where it was like transfer market open like first week in June and then shut on the last Thursday in March. When I first started watching football, that's how everything worked. It was just obviously when Bosman came round that everything just went out of the window, and now it's a case of your smaller clubs. Unfortunately, that's what we are at the moment. Might have to sell to survive.
That's
So
true. I mean, in terms of Grain Desiree, it's a good point that if they don't sign, that we will potentially lose them at the end of the season. I think it was said by Lenny Lawrence a few weeks ago now, they are in negotiations with them. It's good to hear that being this early in the season, if you like, instead of leaving it till April and risking everything there. It's gone a bit quiet since, but we can only hope. I think there were a lot of people when they spelt it with a four on Twitter on I think it was Monday when they announced Tom Parks. Tuesday might have been, and everyone thought that meant four signings as opposed to Tom Parks being the number four, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, hopefully they do sign. As you say, 25 goals a season. I think he's on track for about 20 this season still. It's very difficult to replace at this level and in any level, quite frankly. We were linked with the Brentwood Town striker this month. I think Colchester also linked, and it's recently come out that there are a few National League clubs chasing his signature. I will not even try to pronounce his name because I can't. It's Ob it'll be a laugh for
him,
the listeners, I
just
suppose.
say him.
Obergalai, I think it
Aye,
is.
just say him.
Yeah, it's something like that.
That
Either
guy.
way, it's been floating around X. Is the strike? I was going to say the strike force. Is a striker the priority at the moment, realistically? Because when I've discussed this before in the last few weeks, it seems that people have thought perhaps on the wing or at left back or in midfield was the priority. Is that something you potentially agree with, gentlemen?
I think it is. To be honest with you, it's as important as any position in the team. You've got to always make sure you've got covering all bases. You don't target just like one type of player. You target strikers, midfielders, wingers, defenders, uh, keepers at all times. If you can get someone in who is a massive upgrade on what you've got at the moment, you, you make moves towards that. It's simple football business. That's how everyone operates.
That's a fair point to make, Isaac. Do you agree?
Yeah, if we are after this lad from Brentwood, then you can't complain because he seemed like looking at his score records. Granted, it's in probably lower levels, but it's quite impressive, and I think then they're the type of players we need. We need fresh, new, like hungry players to come here and like prove a point.
That's true. I mean, we've had it before, haven't we, where we were linked with a non-league striker in Marcus Carver a few seasons ago. He
Mm.
had he had the numbers behind him. He was performing very well, and unfortunately, it never translated over to us. It, I mean, it's dangerous to think in this way, but is it perhaps a warning sign that you need to do the legwork before you sign them, as opposed to just looking at the goals themselves?
Definitely, definitely. This is yeah, Marcus Carver, as you said, prime example. Scoring goals for fun. Comes to poles, couldn't hit a band or a banjo, and he just looked hopeful to see how it was there. Another prime example, going a little bit further, League of Ireland, Dennis Bayan, he was scoring goals for fun in the League of Ireland.
What a free kick taker he was, though.
Took a nice free kick, but otherwise, put it about his scoring record left a lot to be desired. At least we are. Hopefully, we're not going to try sign anyone like Tim Sferovic. Though. God, I remember him. Like signing him and then all hundreds of police lumping on him at Rochdale one game, and because to score first goal, aye, that Rochdale bookie had never taken so much money in his life. Funny days.
I remember going to Rochdale. I think I've been to Rochdale once. Supposed to go a second time, but it never worked out. But the one time I went was 2007 when we were 2 games away from winning the league, and
Yeah, two
we
sending offs.
couldn't. Yeah, two sends off, lost 2-0, complete disaster. Then Ricky Lambert lost us the league the next week at Bristol Rovers, or for Bristol Rovers, I should say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Walsall ended up taking it, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yeah, on the final day, they drew as well. If we'd have beaten Bristol Rovers, we'd have won the league, but got beat by Ricky Lambert, unfortunately.
Aye,
I
yeah.
played on Rochdale's pitch actually while I was studying in Manchester, and
But
we
best thing about Rochdale, though, just as a side note, is the chippy at the back of the waist stand.
I agree.
I've
Yeah.
heard many reviews about that. I've never been myself,
Aye,
but I've heard
Wilmot
many
Lane
reviews.
chippy, Jack. It is the business, mate. I tell you.
To be fair, my stepdad went to Crewe when we played there. I think it was Valentine's night. I think it was the season we may have went down. We lost. There's a theme about me going to away games and us losing 2-0, but I think we lost 2-0 when Jamie Sterry got sent off within about 13 minutes or something like that. Um, and I didn't get there until Lakesy come up from the south and met me there. And he said, when I got to the stadium eventually, that he'd been to the fishy down the road. And he said it was awful. I can't remember which one it was. I can't remember the name, etc. But I just got there because he knows I love fish and chips, and he just said like, "Don't go down to that one. It's absolutely dreadful." And I mean, to be fair, it never got much better from there, given what happened inside the stadium as well. Um,
Well, aye.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, every stadium has their ups and downs done. I mean, I love a visit to Leighton Orient personally. Leighton Orient, Morecambe, is another one. We all have good memories and bad memories. 5-2 at Morecambe will always be up there. When Nathan Thomas got a standing ovation from everyone as he went off the pitch.
I remember going to one of my favourite away trips had to be going to Burslem, Port Vale, and winning five. I think we won 5-2 that night in
Was that when
snow.
the snow?
Yeah, the snow
Yeah, I
game.
remember that. I didn't. I was too young to go
I,
then because I'd have been 6-year-old. I think it was 2004, wasn't it?
yeah,
But I've got the season review still, and I watch it from time to time. And I just remember the snow sleeting. Like it was,
it
it
was
was
absolute class.
like at the
Honestly.
start of the highlights, it was quite clear, and then by
And
the
then
fifth
it
goal
just
going in, you
degenerated
couldn't
into a
see.
snowstorm.
It was ridiculous.
It
I mean,
was
I went to Port
absolutely
Vale.
mental.
Yeah, I went to Port Vale while I was studying in Manchester because I wasn't too far away. It wasn't snowing, but my God, it was freezing.
Oh, aye,
It was
it was
absolutely
proper Baltic.
Baltic. I think it was the end of November or something like that. It was absolutely freezing cold. Is there any away trips while we're on the subject that stand out for you, Isaac?
As someone young, I haven't really been to that many away games, but one that does stand out is probably Grimsby in the relegation season.
Yeah, that's a fair shout as well, Dan Kemp.
Yeah.
Aye,
Unbelievable.
winning 4-1. Aye, that was class. That
To be fair, speaking of fishies, the fishy near Grimsby is excellent.
yes.
That
Yeah.
that was Good Friday that we went as well. So, the queues for it unfortunately were I mean, to be fair, I spoke to people in the queue as well, just chatting while we were waiting and that. And they said it's usually busy there anyway, with it being a match day. Well, obviously with it being Good Friday, the queue was hilariously long. But then I suppose you could say the fishies really they sort of reflect the game, don't they? The way that we're talking anyway, because the one at Crewe wasn't very good and we were terrible, and then the one at Grimsby was excellent and we won that game. So it's a strange, maybe it's a correlation. You never know. Uh,
It might be a strange coincidence.
it might well be. So if anyone has any recommendations for chippies around grounds, we'll go and have one, and then we'll win the game. That seems like a good way to do it. Might be the only way to do it. But yeah, going back to the transfers as well. I finally got his name up, and I still can't pronounce it properly. I think it's Ogun Ogunlay. I could do this for another half an hour, and it'd probably be entertaining, wouldn't it? But anyway, he got his 26th goal of the season in midweek. So he has been in form. And the fact that there are other clubs at our level, clubs above us, chasing him is a good sign because clearly they've seen something in him. But it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's understandable you'd say all positions are always priorities. That is a fair shout to make. I, I mean, I think the point that was made a couple of weeks ago when we were speaking about this was the likes of Kazenga Lualua, as much as I'll always praise him for his foul the other week when he basically cuddled someone's legs, that was outstanding. But he's not really lit us on fire, really. And Charman was starting to find form. He's injured. Campbell, I know he plays in the centre, but he's started to find form. He's injured. Perhaps winger might be a good place to reinforce, Isaac?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that we have many natural winners because I class Gray and Sharman as strikers, so we don't really have like a natural winner apart from Luara. So I think having another winner is vital.
Yep. Mark?
Well, wingers obviously in the way we want to play are vital to us. I don't think we've not had many decent wingers for quite a while. I mean, like we used to be blessed with some really good ones. Who can forget? And I'm showing my age here when I say it. The Ginger Ginola himself, Ian Clark. He always used to entertain me and infuriate me in equal matches, but he could cross a ball. That was the thing about it. Ian could cross a ball. So if they can't cross a ball, they shouldn't be playing on the wing. They should be somewhere else in the
Fair
team.
point.
It says you just got maybe put feelers out. There would be some uh, players out there that we can probably recruit. But it says we're going to probably be fighting over the same faces as everyone else. It's just obviously we've got to just sell Poles as being the best place for the next step in their career.
Yeah, fair point. Moving on to this weekend, Wealdstone. Finally, some football back in our lives after well, it's 2 weeks, 2 weekends, isn't it? 'Cause we should have had a trophy game. We got knocked out, and then Barnet this past weekend. Wealdstone, it was a very frustrating game, the home game, wasn't it? Because they went in front, and we huffed and puffed. We couldn't get past them until Manny D popped up in, I think it was the 98th minute or something stupid, to get us a point from it. It sounds, I've got to say this without sounding demeaning to Wealdstone. It's a game we really should win, isn't it, Isaac?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like we're in a period now like every game's a must win if you want to get the playoffs. So on paper it does look easy, but as a lot of people say, there's no easy games in this league. So we need to not respect them, but we need to be wary of them and not factor in a lead position and anything. We just get like clear. And plus, we've had 2 weeks off as well, so and I think they played on Wednesday, so hopefully that factors well. We can give them a good game.
Yeah, Mark?
Well, as I said, yeah, every game's now a must-win game. If we want our ambitions to getting out of this division, we've got to basically take maximum points, and that means home and away. Uh, Granted, we won't win every single game. No one's going to win every single game. Apart from it, everyone's going to have bumps in the road. But we've started to get some decent form between us. We've gone from looking in absolute dire straits to basically on the fringes of the playoffs. So we've got to keep this momentum high. So yes, obviously don't underestimate them, but put out a polished performance that we know we're capable of. And if we do that, the Wales Surveyor won't be wanting some after the game.
Very true. It's worth pointing out, to be fair, because I've said that we should beat them, and on paper you would expect Hulls to beat Wealdstone. It is worth pointing out, though, that in the league they haven't lost at home since October the 19th. which was a 3-0 defeat
Mm.
to Yeovil. And to be fair, that sounds a little bit strange, doesn't it? Because Wealdstone, they're not. I mean, it's partly because they don't do very well away from home, but they are sixth bottom, and they haven't lost at home since October the 19th. It's quite surprising, isn't it?
That is an amazing fact. That actually, an amazing fact. I mean, like that. If they had a form like that away from home, they'd be the ones who'll be challenging for the playoffs. So
They're basically
that's
the
what I mean.
Brentford of the
Don't
National League, aren't
Yeah,
they? Yeah.
you've got. I says, don't underestimate them, but make a statement. I mean, remember a few seasons ago, we went there, we made a statement,
Was
showed
that when
people, look,
Richie Bennett got a hat trick, 7-2?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, made a state, we made a statement,
To say about
and so
Richie
it's
Bennett,
about time to make another statement.
to be fair, Richie Bennett's one of those names, isn't it, in certainly recent Pulse history where we take players on loan, sort of they do bits for us for say a month or two, then they disappear, never to be heard of again. It's a
Mm,
like intent from a Pulse perspective, I should say that doesn't apply to all strikers and all players, but from a Pulse perspective, like come in, do a job for a couple of months, and then they're gone. Like Danny Elliott was the same that season. I think
mm,
we had him from
Mm.
Chester, if I remember rightly. That was the promotion season. He scored a penalty in the shootout. But again, he's another one where sort of he came in, did a job, and there was a lot of those in the Ronnie Moore Great Escape season as well, where we had
mm,
that succession of strikers for a month. Um, and we eventually hit on Jordan Hugel, who basically dragged us away at the very end. But you had people like Ryan Baird, Joe Ironside, Marvin Morgan. Like there was a strange amount of strikers that sort of came in and did the job. Um, just moving on to the pool side of things as well. Um, our upcoming run, I think myself and Adam spoke about this last week. Um, up to the end of February, as it stands, to be fair, has that changed? Because I know we've had the midweek fixtures. Uh, it has changed now, because Altrincham have moved above us. But last week, or as of last week, our next 8 games all came against teams that were below us in the table at the time. Say Altrincham have now moved against up above us, so that does no longer applies. However, there's no one in the top 7 that we're playing. So you mentioned that we have to win all of our games, but when you see it like that, this is a very winnable run for us.
oh, aye, definitely. I mean, like, make it count. But the thing is, polls being polls, they'll decide, yeah, oh yeah, all we need to do is sometimes it's just turn up and then come unstuck. It's typical polls all over.
It's true, Isaac.
Yeah, on paper we've got a good run, but I think I think we've got a few shoving away games, like shoving an older Soche can be difficult tasks. I think walking now revitalised under Neil Ardley. Um, then I think we got some of the newly promoted teams. I think we got Braintree in there,
We have
so
Braintree away on
I
the
think we got a
first,
good.
yes.
Yeah, I think we got a good mix of teams to face. So it'll be interesting to see what we can pull off.
Yeah, just to clarify where they all are, we've got this isn't necessarily in order, but we've got Maidenhead in the mid-February, they're 21st, fourth bottom. We've got Braintree, as you said, they're 20th. Wealdstone are 19th. Aldershot is 18th. Woking is 17th. We've got all of these up until the end of February. We've got Sutton away, who are the place below us in the table. We've also got Altrincham, who are now ninth. They weren't until the midweek, but they are now. We've also got Tamworth as well in that run, which is the rescheduled game because they had to go and lose 3-0 to Tottenham. Just on that subject as well, it doesn't necessarily concern polls because we're out of the trophies. But replays, scrapping of replays, was it right?
No,
No,
Very unequivocal answer. Yeah, pretty good. I would potentially argue, and to be fair, I'm also against the scrapping of replays in principle. But is there an argument that if you're going to scrap replays, it should have scrapped extra time as well, given the fitness difference between
yeah,
non-professional
yeah,
professional
pretty
sides?
much all right. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, did either of you watch the game on Sunday, Tamworth Tottenham?
I did.
no,
Yeah,
I was working.
I don't know. The game when you watched it, I mean, Tamworth could have won it right at the end, couldn't they? They had the two chances in quick succession, which is a massive shame. But in extra time, the fitness told, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
You could
Yeah,
see
yeah,
Tamworth
definitely.
were dead on their feet.
Hmm. I think Tockham subbed on all their best players as well. I think Sean came on Solanke, so
Yeah,
to,
I think they definitely brought Son on at full time
yeah.
to play the extra time, and there was someone else as well. I can't remember who it was. But they brought Solanke on just after the hour mark as well, so that they went for it, and obviously fitness tells. But I think if you scrap and replays, does anyone really want extra time in the stadium?
not
No.
Like
really. Nah.
players, fans, management, it just seems like a waste of everyone's time, really.
So
Because at the end of the day, the Premier League side or the professional side is always going to prevail in that scenario, aren't they? Like maybe 1 in 100, you'll get the non-league side doing something.
just go, just if it's a draw after 90 minutes, go straight to penalties. Says there's everyone then obviously isn't hanging around, especially if it's a midweek game. And like if you're playing at say you're playing somewhere like Bournemouth, you don't want to be getting home later than possible. You're leaving, you're going to get home early hours in the morning if it's us. But the thing is though, just go straight to penalties if you get it's a draw after 90 minutes. Now you've got rid of replays. That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah, it makes sense, which is why the FA will never do it, isn't it?
Mm.
It sounds about right for the FA.
So much like common sense.
Aye, absolutely. We could go into all sorts of issues over football, especially the PGMOL, but I think, it'll get a bit boring after a time, so we'll leave that for another week. Gentlemen, just before you go, Mark, your first time on the pod, Isaac, you were on at the start of the season, but in terms of you, Isaac, has your prediction changed from the playoffs? And Mark, obviously, it's your first time on, so if you could just estimate where do you think Pools will finish at the end of the season? Mark, I'll start with you because you're first
I'll
time on.
go for just a shade outside of the playoffs. I think we'll just miss out by maybe a point or two. But I says we'll give it a good go, but we'll just unfortunately just fall that little bit short. But we'll learn from it.
Fair enough, Isaac.
I think if we keep on this run, we can get playoffs, but I really don't know. But I would like my heart telling me say playoffs, but my head saying just outside. But I'll be optimistic. I'll say we'll get playoffs.
Fair enough. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. As I say, you were called on at short notice, so I do appreciate you recording tonight. Hopefully, we'll have some better news in the weeks ahead with regards to certainly Brian Honor and potentially other players who may be coming on as well. Gentlemen, thank you very much, and we may well see you later on in the season.
Thanks for having us,
Thank
Gaff.
you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Take care.